All right, hello, good morning, good evening, and good night. I hope you guys are doing absolutely fantastic because in today's video, I have roughly 9 to 10 different high yielding funds, high yielding being 10 to roughly 20% in terms of dividend yield. And what we're going to do in this video is I'm going to take you through the names, I'm going to take you through the ticker symbols, and potentially through some of the company websites for some of these funds. I want to expose you guys to some higher yielding dividends, which have kind of lasted for a few years at a time. This one, PCM, going back to about 1995, paying a close to 12% dividend. And what you'll see in this video is we have a few funds which have been around for a few years or more, paying about 10 to 12 to 15 to 20% in dividends. So if you guys do enjoy this video, please do remember to click the like button. But before we do that, I need to give a shout out to How6097. How did you find all these funds? How mentioned in the comments and said, I'm going to his channel here. We could do that, but you're young, so you're able to do this. I'm near retirement, so building more of my yield max funds like YMAX and QQY and CLM. But there's older 12% yielding funds, and he mentioned all these QQY, RYLD, PDI, RA. And all these funds that we're going to go in this video, I don't have SVOL up for this video because I talked about SVOL before. These are all funds that I could have potentially mentioned, but are relatively new to my channel, so I want to point that out there. But without further ado, I want to say as well, if you guys please do not mind subscribing, we're up to 4,045 subscribers, growing subscribers every day. So I want to say thank you guys to everyone who comments, subscribes, and everything like that. So to start this video off, we're starting with the old try and true QQY. It's the Nasdaq 100 cover call strategy ETF, currently a price point about $17. And what you'll see here for most of these stocks is most of these stocks are priced under $20. So if you're, let's say, investing into QQQY and you want to reinvest your dividends into RYLD, for an example, what you could do is buy a few shares, get a couple dividends, and you could hopefully look to reinvest and buy whole shares in these other high yielding funds because they're all relatively under $20, which makes it easier to reinvest dividends. Now for QQY, and you're going to notice this in most of the stock price charts, they do tend to trend down over time, but we're looking here starting at a price point of about $25 or so in 2014. So 10 years ago, it's down to about $17, which you're looking at about a 30% loss, but it's been paying out an 11 to 12% dividend throughout that entire time frame for about 10 years. So if you guys do the math, you guys can do the return on that. In this video, I'm not going to go through any calculations or anything like that. We can do that in another video, but since we have a lot of stocks, I just want to get the names to you and show you their history and everything like that. So the next one, RYLD. You guys have probably heard of this one as well. QYLD, RYLD, nothing really new here. We got the Russell 2000 cover call strategy ETF trading at about $16. You can see here 2019 is trading about $25. So similar to the price point of QYLD, but has trended down to about $16.41, only paying a slightly greater dividend at $12.64. Going to the next dividend, we have PDI, which is the PIMCO Dynamic Income Fund, trading at about $20 all the way back in 2012, was trading at $26, kind of trended about this market consolidated for a few years. We're looking at about almost like 7 years of consolidation. Then in COVID, had a pretty big draw down to $22 and continued down to this level here. Could this potentially be a good buying opportunity? Obviously, you have to do some more research. I don't know too much about PIMCO. I did go on their website. It says here the fund normally invests in a worldwide in portfolio of debt obligations and other income producing securities of any type and credit quality. Any type and credit quality, that is kind of like a little bit of a red flag there because you want to make sure the credit quality is good of the things that you're investing in. But I found it a little bit difficult to find out what the Dynamic Income Fund PIMCO PDI does. But if you guys want to do your own research into that, I'm just kind of showing you the name. They pay a 16.5% dividend, but don't be fooled just by the dividend. Obviously, do your own research. Make sure this is a good and stable company. So that is PDI. Going to our next one, we have RA, which is the Brookfield Real Estate Asset Income Fund. And you could see here, not a huge fund, market cap under $1 billion. See here, they're paying close to a 12% dividend, $11.85. And back in 2017, they were trading about 23, trended down to now. You can see they're all kind of trending down, and now they hit a lot of these funds are hitting current kind of lows. And you could see here that they're trading at about $13. I do have their website up. These guys are a little bit more understandable in what they do. They invest in renewable energy infrastructure. They also do insurance, and they're in real estate, private equity. So Brookfield is a little bit easier to understand than PIMCO in my kind of opinion, but they do pay a 12% dividend. So this is a stock you potentially put on your watch list and look to find more. Now, one thing that's interesting is a PCM fund, because this fund I found was pretty much under the direct company of PIMCO. It looks like it's a much smaller fund because PDI is about 5 billion and this one is about only 100 million. So this one could potentially be a little bit more risky, a little bit more volatile, but it's been around since 1995, paying a 12% dividend, stayed relatively flat. Only in 2008 did it really have a massive drawdown, but this is one to potentially put on your watch list as well. Going to the next, we have RIV, RiverNorth Opportunities Fund. And for anyone who's kind of wondering what an opportunities fund is an investment vehicle designed to invest in real estate, or business development in areas known as opportunity zones. Opportunity zones, any kind of area where they see a potential profit, just investing in real estate or business development. Those are opportunity funds. Now, RiverNorth Opportunity Fund pays a dividend of about 15.43%. It has trended down, as you can see here, going from about $18 or so in 2016 all the way down to about $11.5, $12 currently. And going to our next one, we have the Guggenheim Strategic Opportunities Fund. Once again, an opportunities fund. And you guys can take any of these names, put them into Google, and you'll find the company websites, and it's easy to do kind of like your own research on that. But now I'm just showing you kind of their stocks and what they pay. So they pay a 17% dividend, close to an 18% dividend, really $17.93. And you can see here, actually, this is a fund where if you bought in 2009 for $10, you'd be up on your position, receiving dividends for about 10 years, actually more than 10 years. For about 16 years, you'd be receiving close to a, maybe not 18% dividend, maybe more like a 15 to 12% dividend over that period of time. So GOF could have been a pretty interesting or good investment if you were to have bought back in 2008. That is something to keep in mind. Now we have three more going forward here. We have JEPI, which I'm sure you guys are all aware. JEPI is a fund which honestly, it kind of fluctuated its dividend. Going on this uptrend here, was paying at about 11 to 12% dividend. But when we kind of had a pullback in the market here in 2021, we seen the yield significantly drop. Before it was at even 3 to 5%. Now it's at roughly 8.5%, but that's something to keep in mind when you invest in JEPI. It is kind of like a long-term fund, $30 billion, and could potentially provide a really solid yield and a little bit of price appreciation, but the fluctuating dividend is something to keep in mind with JEPI. Going to our next one, which is JEPQ. I'm not necessarily sure what the difference between JEPI and JEPQ is. I haven't really done my research on them. All I do know is JEPQ pays a 10% dividend. They're both by JPMorgan, and you can see here that this fund was actually brought into play in about 2022. So we don't have too much kind of proven track record or history in terms of the stock price, but we can see here over the past little while, as markets have risen, JEPQ has also risen pretty nicely from about $40 all the way up to about $51, paying a 10% dividend. So that is something beautiful to see. Now, the very last fund that I like to show you guys, CLM. CLM is a fund that I've done on my channel a little bit. It's the highest paying fund in this entire kind of like realm of ETFs, closed-end funds, and opportunities funds. And so I wanted to save it for the end. It's a 21% paying dividend stock. If we look at the max chart history, going back to 2002, I assume they did some kind of stock splits or something like that. It's trended down for the majority. I just chose to do the 5-year time frame because I think it gives a more accurate representation. It's trading at about $12.29, all the way down to about $7 currently. You could see over the past year, it's roughly fluctuated between those markers going down, and you could have bought at some good periods like $6.33 and been up on that position, receiving a 21% dividends. All right, so these were 9 to 10 to 11 of these high yielding funds, whether they be closed end funds, opportunities funds, anything like that. I just wanted to show you guys a bunch of funds with some decent dividends. Obviously, the yield max funds, for example, they pay much higher dividends, but these ones have proven to be somewhat sustainable over the long term, going back to 2014, and even some stocks going back to about we could see here 2007, and even some of the older ones going back to 1994, just to give you an example of how some high yielding, quote unquote, because they are about 10, 11, 12 to 20% yielding funds, and how they've performed over time, just to give you guys a perspective if you're looking for some income dividend plays. So I hope you guys did enjoy this video. If you guys did, please do remember to subscribe. We're up to 4,045 subscribers. I hope you guys liked this video. Let me know if you guys have any stocks down below by commenting, like Mr. How here, How 6097. And I will be sure to get back to you, because I'm always looking for some interesting stocks to cover on this channel, and anything you guys can do to help is obviously fantastic. We're a community. We look to help each other and pretty much grow our wealth together and grow our income together. So if that does sound good, please do remember to subscribe, like this video if you did enjoy it, and I will see you guys in the next video.